What is a cringe moment that you experienced in your life that still haunts you when you think about it? I went to visit my grandparents in Delaware when I was 15 and my grandmother drove me out to Jolly Rogers amusement park. She didn't go on many of the rides, so I was always going up in line alone. I was last in line for the bumper cars, and of course there were no more cars left when I got to the front. I watched people have fun for 5 minutes, and as I waited, nobody else got in line behind me. Their fun ended and it was finally my turn. The operators let me get in a car and switched the ride on. I was hoping at least one of them would ride around, too, but no. They just watched me sit there. So, I started driving in circles and ramming empty cars. As this was going on, a line started building up again. I saw those people and sat there again for a bit, looking from the line to the people in charge of the ride. Nothing. I continued to drive in circles for the longest 5 minutes of my life as the line got longer and longer. My timer ends and the cars shut off. I'm sat there thinking I get another go, since that was pretty stupid of them. Nope. They came up to me asking for more tickets. Of course I had none left and had the saddest, loneliest walk off of one of my, previously, favorite amusement park attractions. I went camping with some friends once and we ate some shrooms. At one point I had to go to the bathroom, so I went to find the bathroom on the campground, did my business, and went back to our campsite. I grabbed a beer from the cooler and it was Bud Light, and I thought that was weird because I don't drink Bud Light and neither do any of my friends, but I just wanted something cold in my mouth, so I didn't care. I sat down at the fire and started drinking my beer, and I realized everybody had gone quiet and was staring at me. First I was like, why aren't you guys talking? Did I fart? Then why are you staring at me like that? Then it clicked, oh my god, you're not my friends, where am I? I went to the wrong campsite and just plopped my tripping ass down at the fire with a family of 4, a husband and wife and 2 kids. They just looked horrified. I'll never forget the look on their faces. This was years ago, so maybe the kids are on Reddit now. If so and you're reading this, I'm sorry for ruining your camping trip. Here's one thing I hate about grocery store lines: they're all separate. I would much prefer that everyone wait in a single line and move to the next available cashier, like in customs. Because we all know how much we hate waiting in line and seeing everyone around us go much quicker. Well, I was having a particularly bad day, and I chose a particularly slow line in the grocery store. Ridiculously slow. Lines twice as long were sailing through, and I wasn't moving at all. And then I realized the problem. Arsehole cashier was taking his sweet time, swiping groceries through one at a time, using only one hand. He didn't care. Some teenager with a scowl on his face, probably forced to work there by his parents. Finally I'd had enough. I snapped. This line is huge. Things would go a lot quicker if you used 2 hands. The 2 people in front of me turned and stared with looks of horror and disgust, and finally, the cashier, with a totally blank look on his face, turned toward me as well. His left arm had been amputated at the shoulder. When I was 10, my dad had his co-workers over to our house with their families for a Christmas party. My mom was doing the whole hostess thing and had been stressed out. I went to use the bathroom in the middle of the party and it stunk something fierce. Being 10 and a social idiot, I then walked out into the big room with the party going on and yelled while waving my hands in a smelly motion, WHO made the bathroom stink so bad. My poor horrified and embarrassed mum's face when admitting it was her. This makes me want to die every time I think about it. When I was around 6 or 7, my best friend lived next door to me. And they were the well-to-do type because they had an answering machine, while my family did not. This was circa 1995 PS. So, I never really thought much about how an answering machine worked. I mean, I got the general concept, but I am an idiot. Anyway, I would call their house before coming over and ask if Michael was home. From time to time they would be gone to Disneyland or making wine or helping disadvantaged children or whatever rich people do with their rhyme, and I would leave a message. At first I'd leave messages like, "Oh, you're not home, just me calling, call me back, click." After a while I realized that you could listen to the message back. Gradually I would start to leave more messages just to listen to myself talk because I was a little narcissistic douche. Eventually I would leave messages that went something like this: "I love Danielle, I want to have sex with her, we would have sex all the time. Danielle is so hot, mind you, I really had no idea what sex even was, but I wanted to do it. And since I was a dumbass and didn't realize you could delete the message, my poor neighbors would arrive home to these pornographic gems. Needless to say, they made my parents listen to these messages and they talked to me about it. All I remember from the talk was that I wanted to die from shame, and I had no idea what sex actually was. Why couldn't you just delete the messages?" When I was in high school I was sitting with my ex-girlfriend before class started. I was building a motorcycle in auto shop and brought a large chrome-plated castle nut to school with me to finish attaching the wheel to the frame. Well, we were goofing around and I thought it would be cute if I slid the lug nut onto her ring finger. Then after the novelty wore off it quickly dawned upon me that this motherfucker won't slide off. The threads of the nut were tearing her skin every time we pulled, like a sadistic Chinese finger trap. So first I went to my shop teacher and we tried to use motor oil to get it off. A painful and unfruitful venture which only led to me being insulted by my favorite teacher. So I had to go with her to the principal's office and explain what happened, and then she went to the hospital. I went with and watched as the fire department cut this super hard lug nut off her hand while all the firefighters laughed and insulted me. The nut kept heating up and burning the skin because metal gets very hot when being cut, so this lasted quite a while. Oh God. This question strikes home. When I was in my final grade of the elementary school, 12 I got overly self-aware of the fact that my penis leaks. That is piss droplets in boxes due to not shaking enough. So I figured one summer day that the thing that my mother kept next to the toilet must be to prevent this. So the brilliant 12-year-old me took a menstrual pad and put it in my boxers. Happy that my problem has been solved. Later that day I was in a hurry to catch a bus, so I ran, getting pretty sweated during this. But, lucky me, I caught the bus and even found in the front row my math teacher and her daughter, which was in my class. Also, I happened to have a crush on her, which doesn't help this story at all. I paid the driver for the ride and said hello while passing them. But I couldn't shake the feeling that they were looking at me somewhat weird. I was walking to my seat when I heard the voice of an old lady who stood behind me in line. "Young man, I believe you have dropped something." I turn around. Everyone, including driver, my teacher, my crush and the old lady who was in the line behind me, were staring at me. I was mortified when I saw the reason. The menstrual pad has slipped from my sweaty boxers, through my shorts and lied in the middle of the passage in its sweaty, crumpled, peed glory. So yeah. The rest of the school year didn't go well. Neither did my love interest with the crush. I had no idea back then that you are supposed to use a sticker to make the menstrual pad stay in your pants. So, I guess, that's one lesson learned. And yes, I'm male. This one happened last week. I saw a new guy at the office, walking to the exit just a few feet ahead of me, and he was using the same backpack I was, so I said, "Hey, nice backpack," and he turned around to me and said, "Huh?" And I repeated, "Nice backpack," while I took mine off to show to him it was the same. It wasn't. Not even close. When I was about 12, my dad had a client over for dinner. Halfway through dinner I felt an apocalyptic thunderpoo trundling towards freedom, so I urgently excused myself and ran upstairs to the toilet. Our bathroom was at the top of our stairs, and the toilet faced the door, which I'd left open in my haste. I still don't know why I did this, but once everything was clear down below I decided to sit back down on the toilet and helicopter my wiener. I'd only recently worked that I could do this, and I guess I fancied doing that instead of heading back down to dinner. Needless to say, I suddenly think I hear footsteps coming up the stairs. My first instinct is to mash my junk back into my pants and act like I was washing my hands, but I didn't get that far because my scumbag brain thought it would better to try and close the door instead. During that moment of indecision, the shining top of this client's bald head came into view. It all happened in slow motion, the sound of his imminent arrival, my indecision about how to cover whatever the fuck I was doing, his head emerging from the edge of the staircase, and him staring directly at my still rotating penis. He just stopped for a second and turned around. I didn't look at him for the rest of the dinner. TLDR twirled my willy at a businessman. I was in community college at the time and two of my friends and I were starring in a student-run production of the complete works of William Shakespeare, abridged, awesome show. You can find the whole original cast production on YouTube. The whole show is three goofy guys acting out all the parts in every one of Shakespeare's works, so there's a lot of running around and instant costume changes. Our core costume was velvet shorts, puffy shirts, purple stockings, and Chuck Taylors. We had been doing a lot of dress rehearsals to get used to costume changes and our budget was low, so we had opted for the cheap stockings which began to fray at the crotch. About a week before our first show we decided to do a little promo show on the sidewalk in a big downtown open-air mall to get people interested. The show was going great. There was a decent crowd around and we had just finished the bit where we rapped Othello, the Moor of Venice, when I see them in the very front. Two college-age girls are leaning in towards one another and whispering and smiling and pointing at my crotch. I looked down and realized that the end of my cock had been out of the front of my shorts for God knows how long. All the animated movement and the bad pantyhose and the loose fly of the shorts had come together to create the perfect storm. I swiftly grabbed a kilt and wrapped it around myself and shuffled away once we took our bow. I made sure to take a needle and thread to those fucking shorts when we got back. My face was so red. Dear God. There were children there. TLDR I did a street performance only to realize that my dick had been out the entire time. I'd love to say this happened a while ago, but it didn't. It happened a year and a half ago. I was going to the gym, and I was on my period. I ran out of pads, so I decided to stuff my shorts with toilet paper as a last resort. No biggie, used to do it all the time. So I'm on the treadmill at the gym. The gym is fairly crowded, with the lunch break crowd. I'm on a machine that's in the front row. There were 3 rows of treadmills, doing a steady jog for about 45 minutes, then I'm ready to get off. So I turn off the machine, and turn around. Bloody toilet paper. All over. All over the treadmill, all over the floor. Somehow, I didn't realize that my shorts were too loose and the toilet paper would fall out. No one told me. I haven't been back to the gym. And needless to say I was never unprepared again. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you liked today's video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing for future videos. If you want more right now, click on one of the cards on the screen to watch another one of my videos. Thanks again for watching. Please stay safe everyone, until next time.